Hi, I'm John Luali and welcome back. In my first video I had shared about what I study. I'm a food scientist. Most of the time when I tell people I'm a food scientist, I'm asked whether I know how to cook. Well, that's because most of the time people mistake food science for culinary science. The two may sound the same, but they are actually different. Food science involves a lot of things. And what it does is it brings together very many fields of science and engineering and understands how food behaves and how it interacts with the human body. For example, what I study is called food chemistry. Food chemistry is quite wide. It employs a lot of things. To start with, let's talk about what we all know, Coke. We have sugarless Coke. What is done with sugarless Coke is we take a substance that tastes like sugar and we replace the sugar with it. That way, you don't have to gain calories when you take Coke. That is under food chemistry. Also, we study how to determine how much of, for example, sugar and minerals are found in a product. We have an ingredients list on the can of Coke. And what happens is, food chemists will develop a method to determine the amount of sugar that is in there. Also, food scientists, in particular food chemists, will study a lot of other things. For example, how food would help prevent diseases, cancer, diabetes, and all the likes. That is done by food scientists. Fascinating, isn't it? We also have another field, food engineering. When you go to the industry, for example, a Coke producing factory, I'll use Coke because I have a bottle of Coke right next to me. It's easier for me to refer to. When we look at this bottle, it's been properly designed and beautifully, nicely labeled. What food engineers do is they come up with machines and they help us develop these type of cans as well as process the products as well. We have food engineers also design processes. For example, different temperatures, pH that products can be made at. Another field of food science is food microbiology. That is quite fascinating because it affects us every day. When you put your milk in the open for more than 2 days, it will go bad. Now what happens is there have been germs in there that have made the food go bad. We have good germs, for example the germs that make yogurt. I'm going to use the word germ, but that's very crude. Microorganisms would be much better. Microorganisms in the milk would make the milk go bad. While yogurt, the microorganisms would help us turn the milk into yogurt. The microorganisms that are bad, for example, the ones that cause typhoid, or the ones that make food go bad, they make us waste food. So microbiologists will study this. Also, they will study how to optimize, or rather how to come up with proper conditions for the microorganisms to make us better products. Then we have sensory science. Sensory science helps us study how food smells, how it tastes, and why it tastes the way it tastes, and why it smells the way it smells. It's the most fascinating field of food science, if I may say, because it interacts with the person who eats the food. So what food scientists do is they study all the things as a whole at our undergrad. And when we come to the postgrad, we specialize. We choose a field that you like the most and you go and study it. Like I said, I'm a Christian. I like bringing my faith into my videos. I like to help us understand food from a biblical point of view. In Genesis 1:29, the Bible says, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed on the earth, every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them as food." Fascinating. God made us food. He made the food, interestingly, before he made us. So he had us in plan. Revelation 22:12 says, through the middle of 22:1-2, not 12. I made that mistake in my last video as well. Through the middle of the street of the city, also on either side of the river, there was a tree with 12 kinds of fruits. Its fruit, each month, it yielded. The leaves of the tree were for healing of the nations. And Ezekiel 42:12 says, "And on the banks of both sides of the river They will grow all kinds of trees for the food. Their leaves will not wither, and their fruits will not fail, but they will bear fresh fruit every month, because the water for them flows from the sanctuary. Their fruit will be for food, and their leaves will be for health or healing. Fascinating, isn't it? Food can actually be medicine. So what happens is, food scientists study that as well. They study how food interacts with humans, as well as the food alone, on its own. In a jiffy, this is what I study. I hope you picked something. Thank you. Do have a good evening. Thanks for watching.